Oh, cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what inspired you to become vegan, or how did you become a vegan?
Okay, so basically it was like 6 years ago. I was in a phase of my life where I wasn't really happy. So I felt I was poisoning my life, and mostly by two things. I was in a relationship that was kind of like, it wasn't very good, and it was kind of quite abusive, and so that was poisoning my life emotionally. And then on the other hand, I was also poisoning my life by smoking 20 cigarettes a day. Probably also because the relationship wasn't very good. So I thought, I kind of need to change something, but I really didn't know how. And then my partner and I went on holidays to the Seychelles. And it was supposed to be a dream holiday, and we were all excited. And but all we did was argue. And on top of that, we left the Seychelles. I was really frustrated, and then also brought back a terrible cold. So you go to paradise, and then you come back with a cold, and basically a relationship in tatters. And so it basically was a cough. So a friend of mine called me and said, how was holiday? And all I could say was, I just couldn't even say a word. It was that bad. And so he said, why don't you give up smoking? And I thought, I haven't had a day without a cigarette for 10 years. But I kind of hit rock bottom, so I thought I need to do something, so I might as well start, with quit on smoking. And so I did this for 24 hours, and it was literally counting down seconds after 24 hours. And it was like 3, 2, 1, and I had the first puff. And but at least I made it for 24 hours. And then my friend called me literally after the 24 hours when I had my first cigarette in my mouth, and he said, "So how did you do?" And I was like, I did well, yeah. And I mean, I managed for 24 hours, which was good. And I was kind of proud of myself, and I never thought I could do that. And from then on, I decided to do it until the rest of the weekend and stuff. And then I thought, giving up cigarettes was actually very hard for me, because I've smoked for such a long time. And I thought, if I give it up, I need to fill it with something, because otherwise there's a void. And I realized it wasn't about giving up cigarettes. It was about gaining something. And for me, gaining something was my health. So instead of stop poisoning myself, instead of like a negative motivation, it became a positive motivation. So therefore, I went to the gym more. I went running. I had a personal trainer, and then I went on a detox as well. And so the first 2 weeks detox, and I just realized the most healthy foods on the planet, and accidentally it was a vegan diet, without realizing, more or less. And so that was kind of my first exposure to being a vegan. And then fast forward a few months, as when you start changing one thing, other things, it's like a snowball effect. Other things start changing in your life as well. So the relationship was over. They kind of like resolved itself somehow. More like an explosion, but it was over, and I wanted to change something again. I thought, the detox did me really well, and I went on another detox. And again, kind of almost without knowing, being on a vegan detox. But this time I was hooked, because I did it for a month, and the more I researched, the more I realized how much more beneficial plant-based nutrition is for the body. You start researching, and then you find out it's actually much better for the planet as well. It's better for the environment and animals, of course. And I just thought, now that I know all those things, I just could not turn back. I just could not unlearn or unsee. And this is how it all started. But it was a journey as well. I mean, I fell off the vegan wagon a few times as well. The first 1.5 years, but this is how. Yeah.
So when you say you did a detox, what kind of things were you having, and what things weren't you having?
I mean, it was obviously like full of salads and stuff like that, and there's so many vegetables and nuts that are really healthy for you. I didn't have tofu at that point. I didn't like tofu back then. I love it now. But I think I had quinoa. I had a whole grain bread. I can't remember what I had back then. But
Were there certain foods that you just weren't allowed? Or?
Yeah, I mean, like red meat, for example. Dairy wasn't allowed. It was very amateurish detox. I just basically researched and more or less stumbled upon the vegan diet by accident. Yeah.
And so, going into the vegan diet, did you find it a hard transition?
Well, when I started 5 years ago, there were a few challenges. It was also, you had to kind of completely re-educate yourself, because what we learn when we grow up and stuff is completely different to what is actually healthy. Well, some of it might still apply, but it's about re-educating yourself and finding out also what works for you. Like for example, everyone's raving about kale, but I kind of like it, but kale doesn't like me. So it does really bad things to me. So it's also about finding out what works for you, and so it doesn't necessarily work for other people, for example. Yeah.
Sure. Let's talk about your blog.
Yeah.
How did that all come about?
Well, basically, now that I have all this knowledge about how vegan diet is much better for yourself and the planet and stuff, I became really, really passionate about it, and also learned that you can prevent diseases like cancer, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and stuff. And I thought, this is unheard of. How come nobody talks about it? And also the way we see food in the supermarket is totally detached from reality. We see this beautiful packaging of grass-fed beef, for example, and free-range eggs. But what's really happening is completely different. And I became very passionate about sharing what I learned with other people as well. And I became an oversharer, but I felt also at the same time quite frustrated, because I thought, how come we don't do anything about this? How come we can allow this to happen? And I became angry for a short time as well. And then I realized, this anger, it doesn't really do me any good, nor did it help other people to see the truth I saw. It was more like it was actually turning them off. And I thought, for my own sake and for other people as well, and to reach more people, I needed to find a positive outlet. And then I realized I was cooking all those dishes. I was trying lots of vegan dishes. I was experimenting all the time, and I loved it. That really gave me the drive. And I started to share it on Facebook with my friends. And so, every day I cooked something, took a photo, put it on Facebook, and almost like, in your face, this is vegan, this is really amazing. Look, I can have a burger, look, I can have cookies, look, I can have cake. And then a friend of mine, he said, and I think he was kind of getting fed up of all the nice food photos on my Facebook as well. So he said, why don't you create a blog? And I think he just wanted space for me from my food posts. Little did he know, now I've got 130,000 followers on social media. So, he sees even more of my creations on Facebook. And, but yeah, this is kind of like how I started the blog. And I thought, I want to share my knowledge with other people as well, because, this is a positive way. This is a way where I can inspire people to try something new. And, it's a non-invasive way. It's not about telling people off, but it's giving people the tool for change. Because I think there are lots of activists who do a lot of good things, but at the same time, if you don't give people the tools so they can actually, change the way of life and stuff, then that doesn't help anything. Yeah. So I'm kind of trying to bridge again.
Nice. And when you started this blog, a lot of people out there kind of want to start blogs or try to start blogs. How did you kind of naturally start the blog? Was that on Instagram or a website?
No, it was actually, because we do a lot of web design, so web design was natural for us. So we started with creating the website first. And there are other very successful platforms out there like Bosch. They started with a Facebook page first, and then the website last. And but we, also we wanted to really build a brand. It's basically my brother and I. My brother's also quite invested in that, even though he's not vegan. But he's very lovely and he's helped me all the time. So yeah, we started with a website, and then Facebook is our biggest platform, and Instagram. It took me a while to get my head around as well. Instagram and YouTube. Yeah.
Nice. Do you find it easy being a vegan?
Yeah, I do now. I would say. First of all, you have kind of like this transition period where it's all about educating yourself and seeing what's out there, seeing what works for you. Again, like for example, I don't eat too many beans. A little bit maybe, but they don't don't digest them that well. But the other things you can eat. So it's about finding the balance for you, see what works, and how you feel good. Like for example, I love tahini sauce in salads, and I couldn't live for it. So yeah, you have this education period where you learn about all those things, and then after that it becomes really easy. And also, I mean, especially in cities like London, there are so many options now. Even most chains have vegan options, and yeah, so it became quite easy now.
I know you touched on it earlier, but what's kind of your main objectives of your blog?
So I really wanted to inspire people. I wanted to, be the change I wanted to see in the world. And as I said, when I saw all the, animal suffering and stuff, I mean, I'm not talking about it on my blog anymore because I know it puts people off. And once you see it, if you see it once, then you don't need to see it like hundreds, of times. And I mean, even I have to admit, I'm switching off now. But you can never see enough of amazing food. I think it's people need to eat every single day, and people love their comfort food. People love cake, and all those kind of things. And that's what still inspires me because it's something that really it kind of gives something back as well.
I know you have your brand consultancy side of things, and then you also run the blog.
Yeah.
For those who wanted to run a blog while also doing sort of their day-to-day stuff, how do you manage your time between?
It's quite fluid actually. So I have quite a tight work schedule. Work is quite busy, so but as a creative, you kind of have natural breaks, and for me, it's very important that. I kind of know the deadlines we have, and we always try to achieve a little bit earlier. But I don't say like I do this from let's say 8 a.m. until 12 p.m. or something like that. So they're kind of like natural breaks in between where I have time for my blog, yeah, and then there are weekends as well. So, but it's quite labor intense.
What are some of the main challenges that you face?
In terms of my blog or
probably your blog actually.
Well, one of the main challenges at the moment is Facebook changed the algorithm, so it's much more difficult to get through. I don't know, you might have noticed that as well. So that's quite a big challenge. So it's really about creating conversations with people, so you still stand out. And the other one is, when I started with my blog 2 years ago, there weren't as many vegan blogs out there, and now more and more are coming out, which is amazing because it means people are more passionate about it and more people are into that. But it's more difficult to stand out now. Yeah.
What are your plans for the future, and do you have any new projects?
Yes. So one is a cookbook, so that's kind of like in the pipeline. And then the other one is a project I can't talk about just yet. It's very exciting, yeah.
Cool. And I know there's some tips that we were going to share with everyone before we get to the Q&A. Did you want to kind of go through those? Yeah.
So, I always say it's about going exceedingly vegan and not necessarily perfectly vegan. Because especially when you're transitioning, there's so many things you need to learn. So it's good to start with a few things first. So I came up with a short list of 10 things you can do to become exceedingly vegan for a start. One is do some research. As I said before, find out about nutrition, and there's so many interesting, amazing articles out there. Also do some research where your next vegan restaurant is, or a restaurant that offers vegan options, could be next to your work or next to home. Another one is, if you can't commit to being vegan all the time, try Meatless Monday, see if that works for you, try it once a week. Number 3, try non-dairy milk in your coffee and muesli. I think that's a really easy one, and there are loads of amazing, delicious milk alternatives out there. And even Lidl now has soy milk, so there really isn't any excuse. Number 4, find plant-based foods you enjoy. I think there are so many beautiful dishes out there, and try something that works for you. As I said, like kale doesn't work for me. You don't have to eat kale. Try something else. Number 5, cook more often. And I think that's really obviously very close to my heart as well. And when you cook and you connect to your food much more, and you know exactly what goes into your meals, and by having this awareness, you automatically make more positive choices as well. So I think cooking is very important. Number 6, you don't have to give up booze, so you can still be a drinking vegan. Because you don't have to be like a non-smoking, non-alcoholic, meditating yogi. You can still have fun and stuff. But as I said to Banco Dictionary yesterday, there's a story. You have to be mindful that actually sometimes there's even milk in wine. That doesn't make any sense because everything is so heavily processed nowadays, and I just don't understand why they have to put milk in wine. And so that's one. Number 7, fake it till you make it. So if you want to become vegan and sometimes you miss your meat or your cheese or whatever, there's so many replacement products out there you can enjoy as well. It might not be healthy, but they help you along the way to transition. Number 8, take your time. So you don't necessarily have to jump right into it. For me, it took me about 1.5 years of transition. Also because it wasn't quite as easy back then, 5 years ago. Now, going out, I would have meat sometimes. Now, I think it's so much easier, so it will be easier for people now. And then if you slip up, don't be too hard on yourself. And then number 10, go to exceedinglyvegan.com and get inspired by all the delicious vegan recipes.
Great, some great tips there.
Yeah.
There's obviously a rise in sort of veganism.
Yeah.
Like I even see it in my friends, a lot of them are sort of trying it. Do you think it's a trend, or do you think it's the society is changing to kind of do that?
I really think it's a huge shift in our society. I don't think it's just a trend. I think it's like, as I said, for me, once I saw the truth, so to say, there was no way for me I could unlearn or unsee. So I really think it's here to stay. I even think like in 15, 20 years we'll probably look at meat eaters the way we look at vegans now. And I think, if I look at meat now, I just think it's quite perverted how we can still consume that. And
Do you think there's going to be a big rise in sort of vegan, or do you think it might plateau?
No. I think it will be more normalized. For example, I was at a barbecue a few weeks ago and baked a cake. My friend introduced it as, here's a vegan cake, and I think in the future it will just be the cake.
Sure.
They don't have to label it anymore, I think, because it will be very, very natural anyway.
And the term vegan, it doesn't just apply to food. Do you live a sort of a vegan lifestyle?
As much as I can. As I said, it's almost impossible to be perfectly vegan. Like even the 5 pound and 10 pounds note contain animal fat in them. So, probably, our laptops and stuff like that contain animal products. So it's almost impossible to be perfectly vegan. But I try my best to, reduce the impact I have on the environment as much as I can and not use any animal products. Like for example, I wouldn't buy leather so far or things like that.
Yeah, sure. And for those that think that sort of vegan is an extreme lifestyle or a choice, what would you say to them?
I think it's how you look at it. On one hand, maybe if you don't know what it's really about, maybe it might be extreme. But for example, for the environment or the animals that are slaughtered, it's definitely not an extreme choice. It's more like a compassionate choice. And so I think once you educate yourself and you are aware of the impact your choices have, then you see this as a very natural choice, and it's more extreme what's like eating meat and dairy products, for example.
Sure. And before we open up to some questions, I just want to know, is there a difference in pricing? Is it a cheaper way of living, or is it more expensive? Or?
Well, it depends. A lot of the meat or dairy replacement products, they are probably a little bit more expensive than meat and dairy. But on the other hand, if you live a whole food plant-based diet, that's actually cheaper. So so there's a difference between vegan diet and a whole food plant-based diet. So vegan diet means you could eat chips and whiskey and you're still vegan. Whole food plant-based diet is plant diet that is not really processed and no chips, nothing fried and stuff. It's a more natural way of nourishing yourself, and that can be cheaper.
Yeah, sure.